What's going on, everybody? JT here, coming at you with another episode of Pokemon Go, and I am so excited right now because Pokemon Go just dropped this trailer. Yes, the Season of Heritage is coming very soon to Pokemon Go. In fact, it should be showing up in a couple of days, and it's pretty clear that this game is based off of the upcoming Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which will be releasing early 2022. And if I have to make a random guess here, we're probably going to be getting Arceus in Pokemon Go very, very soon, which is exciting because this is the god Pokemon of the Pokemon universe, and it has a fun ability of being every single type if it has the correct plate on it, but since Pokemon Go doesn't have items, it'll probably be the normal type for now, but I do expect that this will actually have the form change feature that Pokemon Go has recently introduced into the game, so you can change this Arceus probably into any type you want it to be for a bit of a candy and Stardust cost, which would be neat. Unfortunately, Arceus is not that useful. It is a really cool Pokemon, but in the end of the day, it's just not as useful as we would like it to be, especially being the god Pokemon. It's a fun collector's item, and you could use it for some things, but you definitely won't be setting any records with it. Now, I feel like the Season of Heritage is going to be much like the Season of Mischief, where it's going to give us a long special research that lasts the entire season, and throughout the season we're going to get a couple rewards each time, though I hope that they kind of improve on it, because not everybody was a huge fan of the Season of Mischief special research. I feel like we might get some cool stuff in it. At the end, I very, very much think we're going to get Arceus. I don't think we're going to get Arceus until the very end of that because it is the god Pokemon. Even if it isn't that good, it is definitely a big collector's item slash kind of achievement to get in the game. So I definitely feel like that's what's going to be happening. But I think we're going to be getting a different mythical much earlier. And that mythical is Shaymin. You see, Shaymin is a Gen 4 mythical Pokemon from the Sinnoh region, and the Hisuian region is basically an earlier form of the Sinnoh region, so it would make sense that this would be in there. But also, there's another piece of evidence that makes me feel like it's coming, is that if you have a save file from Pokemon Sword and Shield on your Nintendo Switch, you will gain access in Pokemon Legends Arceus to a research quest in the game that will give you an encounter with Shaymin. So they're already tying Shaymin into Pokemon Legends Arceus, so it kind of makes sense that they would add this to Pokemon Go as well, and I feel like we will get Shaymin relatively early-ish into the season. I don't think it's going to be as fast as Hoopa, because Hoopa was pretty much immediately. We got that thing, like, real fast. But I do feel like it might be halfway through. And again, this mythical has a form change, which is really interesting because they just implemented that. So you could get it as its land form, and then later on you could turn it into its sky form. Unfortunately, again, this is not that good of a Pokemon in terms of a moveset. It's neat. I like Shaymin a lot. I think the flying form is pretty interesting. It becomes a grass flying as opposed to just a pure grass type when it's the land form. But in the end of the day, unfortunately, the moves are just not great on it. You could get lucky with its hidden power move and hopefully get something with stab, but more than likely, this will be another trophy Pokemon, but they might add some moves, make it a little bit more useful, but I really do feel like this is coming in this season because it just fits, you know? Like, I want Manaphy, I want Phione, but they don't really fit the theme as much as Shaymin does. And I really feel like we're gonna get it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think I'm right or do you think I'm wrong? Another thing I definitely think we're going to be getting during this season are the Hisuian regional forms of the Pokemon that are already in Pokemon Go. And the reason why I feel like we're gonna be getting these regional variants is because we've kind of had that happen in Pokemon Go a lot. The Alolan forms have been out for a very long time and we don't even have Gen 7 yet. And the Galarian forms have been here for a little while now and we only just recently got a taste of Galar Pokemon and I don't expect to get any more of those for a while. So I definitely feel like the Hisuian variants will definitely be showing up in Pokemon Go because it's also a good way to promote Legends Arceus in Pokemon Go. So it just makes sense that they would add them. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the stats for any of these Pokemon, but we do know what they look like and we do know their types, so let's go over them really quickly. First off, we have Hisuian Growlithe, which is a fire and rock type. And it's an interesting typing. I don't know how useful this is going to be, and we don't know what the evolution looks like yet. We don't know if it's going to be a Hisuian Arcanine or possibly a different Pokemon altogether. We don't know yet, though I'm going to lean towards Arcanine because Arcanine is a very popular Pokemon, but it's definitely a fun variant, and I can definitely see this one being more of a wild spawn. Next up is one of my favorites, and that's Kleavor. Kleavor is a Scyther evolution. Instead of turning into Scizor, it'll turn into Kleavor, and it is a bug and rock type, which is an interesting typing, and I definitely expect this thing to be very glassy and do a lot of damage. But it's really cool, and who knows, maybe this will be better than having a Scizor. We don't know yet again, but I have high hopes that this will actually be pretty useful. Plus, being part rock means that it'll have a little bit of an advantage over fire types, especially like Charizard, which would take 4 times damage from its rock type moves, so it's an interesting Pokemon for sure. Then we also have Basculegion, Basculin's evolution, which is a water and ghost type. And it's interesting. We already have some water and ghost types like Jellicent that we use in PvP, and I really feel like this is going to be another PvP Pokemon. It could have some really interesting movesets, and I definitely expect it to not be super tanky, but I think it might be a little bit more of a harder hitter than Jellicent is, but we don't know yet. But I definitely feel like this will have some play, especially because we don't really use Basculin for anything, so having this could spice up the game a little bit. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, and that's Hisuian Bravery. I really love the design of this Pokemon. I think it looks fantastic. It is a flying and psychic type, which is an interesting combination. I really feel like this might be a smaller Lugia of sorts for PvP. Like for Great League and Ultra League, I really feel like this thing might have a good place to shine, as long as it gets a good moveset, but I have high hopes. Plus, Bravery is an amazing Pokemon, and I would love to see this actually have more use than it currently does. And then there's Weirdeer, or Dumbledeer as a lot of people like to call it, and it is a Psychic and Normal type, which is a fun typing because it loses its weakness to Ghost, which is a huge issue, especially in PvP. I don't see Weirdeer having much play in PvE, but I definitely feel like it'll have a place in PvP, because having a resistance to the Gengars, to the Haunters, and all the other Ghost types in PvP, especially the Alolan Marowak, the Frostlass, it could actually have a bit of an advantage there, and it could be really good. But again, we don't know just yet what the moves are, but I have high hopes for this one. I think it'll actually be pretty useful. And lastly, some forms that I don't think we're gonna get for a while, but I do want to talk about them because they're awesome, are the Hisuian Zorua and Hisuian Zoroark. They are normal and ghost types, which is the first time that's ever been introduced to the game, and it's a pretty broken type. It loses its weakness to Ghost being a normal type, which also means that it can't be hit by normal moves because it's a Ghost type. And also, the only thing that's super effective against it is Dark type, which is hilarious because that's the Unova form, or the original form's typing. So it's kind of funny how it turned into something that's super weak to its old self, but also just really broken for everything else. Like, it has a lot of resistances, a lot of neutralities, and only one thing that's super effective. That's pretty cool. Again, I don't see this coming for a while just because these Pokemon aren't even in Pokemon Go right now, but it wouldn't be the first time that we've gotten regional variants before we got the original thing, so yeah. Pretty interesting. And that's all the variants and pretty much everything I wanted to mention in this video, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm right about all my speculations here? Or do you think I'm wrong and we're not gonna get the Hisuian variants, we're not getting Shaman, we might not even get Arceus? I'd love to know what you guys think about this season, so please let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you know when I upload. If you really enjoy this content and you wanna help the channel grow even more, there's a link to my Patreon in the description box below. But with all that being said, this is going to be the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.